Google is being Google again, and they have gone back on their word. About 4 years ago, they mentioned something about phasing out cookies, which made an impact across the web because people started questioning what will replace cookies and where is the privacy going with all of it and stuff. And so right now, it seems like it's not going to happen. Is that correct?
Yeah, so they basically said that they're changing the privacy sandbox. It's just their name, and in the recent announcement, they mentioned that they are looking at a way forward that retains third-party cookies because first-party cookies weren't going away.
Why would they want to phase cookies out?
The reason is privacy, the official one, but you might know pretty well that the internal reason was probably quite different for Google. At first, there were like 2 delays.
Oh, were they? They
Yeah, I
delayed it.
think the
Okay.
initial date was 2022 to get rid of cookies, and then they moved it, and then they moved it again, and now they moved it to never.
What kind of impact will it have on people running websites?
I think it already had impact, maybe not even necessarily on people running websites, but for larger publishers or even people in ads, because they have been spending the good part of the past couple years spending money and working on solutions to exist in a cookieless world, and now they can put it where the sun doesn't shine. As always, no effort goes to waste. They have learnings, they have technology that they can still use potentially for the good of people, let's say, not for money this time around. I've read one quote, I think, from a company that said that they basically pulled the plug on cookieless tracking the first time Google delayed the ban. So probably like in 2022, they just cut any funding and any spend on those technologies because they lost trust back then already.
I imagine if you're in a company that have invested a lot of money during those 4 years, awaiting the judgment day, you can probably recycle that kind of technology for something else for sure. Resell it to A/B testers or whatever. But speaking of any solutions that are cookie based, so do you think they have to worry about anything? Like A/B testing, we know is very difficult with cookie. How do you think this kind of sudden change of events will impact software that provides any sort of testing which is cookie based? And also, I guess going off on the back of that is for an average marketer, where should they look in terms of maybe facilitating those kind of tests now that we know cookies are here to stay?
In a way, nothing changes for them. They just continue as they were. And some people rejoice because they have technology based on cookies and that works already. In a scenario where you don't bother with cookie laws, which we'll get to soon probably, it doesn't change much for you. That's probably the market of the US where you don't really have cookie laws as such. And in Europe, there are several challenges, as you mentioned, with accepting cookies to load basically anything, and especially in the UK, where you don't have as many exemptions, for example, for analytics, which have exemptions in France or Netherlands. You can load analytics, anonymous analytics on the site without asking for consent for those.
Oh, wow.
But when you're in the UK, you cannot do that. And that's also one thing that Google did in their announcement. Actually, they preload cookies. They have non-compliant consent in the same breath that they're talking about working with ICO on the new direction. So it's another thing that does not instill confidence, as you said.
In Europe, we have a very strict cookie laws. And they also, apart from being strict, compare like Germany to France or whatever, they differ on very granular level as well, so some things can work somewhere, and making it work across Europe, across the world,
that's a pain.
A/B testing is a huge pain because it relies on cookies. So the way you know which variant someone have seen on your website is cookie based. So they need to accept cookies to take part in the experiment, and only then you know how they performed against that experiment. But what happens if they don't accept cookies, or they have browsed the page for a while, they scrolled up and down for 15 seconds and then accepted cookies, and all of a sudden the whole page flashed and changed to the other variant that they were assigned by the script randomly. So it causes not only sort of interrupted experience to the user, it also gives them a clear indication they're being a guinea pig right now. and they have anchored themselves in the first version of the page, and now they're given the other version of the page that they need to relearn again. This isn't good, and they already have bias in their mind, and that goes against every single principle of an experiment like this. So you mentioned that on the statement that Google provided, they already have a non-compliant cookie consent.
Yeah.
Okay, let me share the screen. This is the preview of all the cookies that I have for this page, and I've just cleared all of them, so I'm like blank slate, okay? And now I'm going to refresh this page so it does this magic, and let's see what happens. So what should happen, David?
You should have nothing in there. There are some exceptions, like on that page, you should have basically nothing. If that's an e-commerce store, you might have some cookies that are necessary for the store to function. Those are exempt.
Okay.
Like is to remember your cart selections and stuff like that.
Okay. Let's have a look. So we got 4 cookies now. So people that look at the bottom, there are 4 cookies that we got, and all of them are prefixed with _GA, which stands for Google Analytics. Is that correct?
Yeah.
What's happening right now? Am I being tracked?
Yeah, they do track you in analytics. So they basically just told us that they work with iQIYI for our privacy, blah, blah, blah. And then the laws in the UK are such that you cannot do what we just presented with GA cookies. So how does that instill any confidence in you?
For those who don't know, ICO is the actual body that says the law around privacy and user, right?
When you have a business that processes data, you pay them a fee, right?
Oh yeah, we do that too. Yeah, absolutely. We get the invoice every year.
Google does as well, and actually when you look up for DPO for Google, they do exist in the ICO database. So technically, yeah.
Oh.
They are compliant, but as you can see now, they are not.
Oops. We're exposing something here. They talked about all those people here, and the feedback that they got helped them craft solutions that aim to support a competitive and thriving marketplace that works for publishers and advertisers. I think probably most of the second ones than the first ones, but it is what it is. And encourage the adoption of privacy-enhancing technologies. They did some testing, and we expect overall performance using Privacy Sandbox. In light of this, we are proposing an updated approach, so they don't call it like a cancellation or sunsetting or anything. No, it's like an updated approach, a new direction based on the information that has surfaced lately, that elevates user choice.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice of words, because that immediately makes me think of a browser-wide cookie consent mechanism, which would eliminate all those pop-ups.
We would have some kind of settings in the browser that just eliminates all cookies or accepts them by default. Man, I hate those pop-ups. Like, honestly, whenever you have to do some kind of research and you have 10 tabs open and every tab asks you for consent, and you just need to go through all the exercising of choosing only necessary and blah blah, it really takes up the time and energy, and at the end of the day you don't want to do any more research. You just want to go home and cuddle the cat.
It's designed to make you accept them all.
Bottom line is, keep on doing what you've been doing. Keep those cookies up and going, and until we get some sort of solution for Chrome to universally accept or reject cookies, we'll have to work with those pop-ups. But even then, if Chrome launches that, there's no way of telling that Firefox, Safari, and other browsers follow suit.